The next one we're going to take a look at is, oh, that's the same one. Why do I have two of those slides? I don't know. What laws should we make to protect people online? Okay, is there a keyword that you see there? Raheem, yes, what's your question? You can type it or you can just unmute yourself.
Some of them have frowny faces.
Yeah, some people were messing with the faces. That's fine. So I actually put these faces in here. You guys can actually, you have like editing abilities in here to move these around. So the way you get those icons is to go to Insert, Shape, and these are callouts. No, shapes. Yeah. Oh, how do people make the frowny faces? I don't know. Well, there's some keyboard shortcut you can do to make a face too. So I don't know how they did that. Secret emoji magic. Okay, good. So you guys saw that this was a non-scientific question because you were probably looking at that keyword there again. That's good. All right. Question number 3. Why does chocolate taste better than broccoli? Does anybody want to take a guess at what the keyword here is? What's the word that tells us that this is either scientific or non-scientific?
Does.
So does is a verb. And we could put that into, do all cats have whiskers? Right? So do is the same thing as does, pretty much. And that would be a scientific question. But which word in this is a qualitative word?
Why?
That's our question word. Okay, that's super important. That tells us that this is a question.
Then.
Okay. We're going to get there eventually. But good job putting yourself out there. Okay, in this case, it's going to be better, right? So anytime you talk about something being better or worse, that's an opinion. Better and worse, those are qualities that you assign to something based on your opinion. Okay? So if you're asking about whether or not something is better than something else, that's based on opinion. So is this really a scientific question? We're saying, why does chocolate taste better? That makes the assumption that all people think chocolate tastes good. Is that true? No. There's certain things I like, but I can't stand chocolate cake. Like, I would much rather have broccoli. Chocolate cake, like, makes me gag. Okay, so this is definitely an opinion thing. Some people are going to feel the opposite way, that broccoli tastes better than chocolate. All right, how about this one? Why does the moon look bigger on some nights? What do you think? There isn't a super obvious opinion word in here. There's no bigger, better, worse, cooler, like, dislike. There's none of those types of words, but there is this word here, bigger. And the difference between bigger and the other words we've seen so far is that bigger is something that we can measure. If you say something is bigger, we can know that for a fact by measuring it. So if something is based on facts, it is definitely going to be a scientific question. Okay, so good job on that. All right, next one. We're going to look at a few examples of hypotheses. And by show of thumbs, thumbs up if you did, thumbs down if you didn't. How many of you guys did your note-taking on page 4 already of your IMB? Good. I see one thumb up. No? A couple people didn't? Yes. Okay. So just know, those of you guys who haven't taken your notes yet, you're not going to be familiar with this because that was part of the note taking. Okay. A good hypothesis is something that is testable. We're making a statement that includes information from the question, from the scientific question, and then also makes a prediction, and then gives some sort of reason that tells us that our prediction was logical. Okay? And we can have bad hypotheses. A bad hypothesis means that it's not testable because it's based on an opinion instead of something that's factual. Okay? Or we can have a good hypothesis. That means that you can actually test it because it's not based on an opinion. All right? So we're going to take a look at a few hypotheses, and you guys are going to decide if the prediction part of the hypothesis is really testable or not. Okay, so notice we have if, then. So that part that comes after then is where you're really going to be looking at to see if it's testable. Okay, so here's the first one. If you add lemon to water, then it will taste better because lemon adds flavor. So this middle part is the prediction. Okay? And we have to decide if that prediction is more closely related to an opinion or related to something factual that we can test and measure. Okay? And then we see this word here in that prediction. What kind of word is this? Is that a scientific question word or a non-scientific question word? Is it an opinion word or a measurement or fact word? Right, it's a non-scientific question. Thank you, Isabel. So you can, or do you go by Isabel or Isabella? So if this is a non-scientific word, then, I'm sorry, Isabella? Okay, thanks.
I go by Bella.
Bella, all right. Then that means that this is an untestable hypothesis because it's based on opinion. But we can do something else with this, even if we can't use this as a scientific hypothesis. Is this idea is still valid, and we have things to address them. They're called surveys. Have you guys ever taken a survey? Where people ask you if you like this or that? Yeah. So surveys usually are asking about your opinions. And we can gather information about people's likes and dislikes, but that's still not a scientific hypothesis. Okay, a survey is not the same thing as a scientific experiment. All right, let's take a look at number 2. If you increase the saltiness of water, here's the prediction part, then you decrease the temperature it boils at because there's more because there's more salt dissolved into the spaces between the water molecules. Okay, so do we think that this prediction is actually testable? Is it something that we can measure? Or is it not testable because it's based on an opinion? Right, so take a moment to decide. If you think it's testable, then drag it to the green box. If you think it's not, then drag it to the red. Okay, good. So far, all of you guys who are jumping in here are putting it in testable. That's good. Anybody want to share? Because the key sorry, I was just going to ask that. The key word is decrease. Yes. Decreases are something that we can measure. Specifically, decrease in temperature. So we could use a thermometer and track that decrease. Okay, so that is measurable. All right, next one. If we increase the temperature of water, here's our prediction, then the water can be frozen faster, because when I throw boiling water outside on a negative 30-degree day, it freezes almost instantly. All right, so is this prediction testable using measurements, or is it based on opinion? All right, there is a measurement word in there. Can somebody spot the measurement word? In that prediction? Yes, faster. When we talk about faster, we're talking about measuring time, right? A smaller amount of time. Okay, so that's our key word. All right, here's our last practice. If a person does a lot of exercise, then that person will enjoy drinking water more because they will be thirstier. Okay, so here's our prediction that they will enjoy drinking water more. Okay, is there a key word there? A word that tells us that it is untestable, which is what people are picking. How did you know? Yes. Okay, enjoy. Whether somebody enjoys something or doesn't enjoy something is a matter of personal preference. Okay, and the idea of enjoyment is not the same for all people either. Okay, so we're at the end of this practice. Give me a thumbs up if you feel pretty confident about being able to recognize testable versus untestable. You can also give me this or this if that's where you're at. All right. Okay, so I see some people like this, and that's okay. You will get more practice, and hopefully this will get easier for you to recognize. Also, I'm going to stay behind after class is over if you want to ask questions. We can go over some stuff. All right, now we have the assignment that you're going to do in your notebook. So I said you needed your notebook. You're going to open up to page 3. Okay, so here's my 5th period. Whoa. Here's my 5th period notebook. And I've got my table of contents, my quick write, my example page, and then I've set up, oops, what did I do there? I've set up these 3 columns on page 3 to use today. All right, and we're going to do the first, we have 3 problems to do, and we're going to do the first one together, and then I'll let you go and you'll do the second and third one on your own. Okay, so set your notebook up like this so we can do the first one together. I'll give you a moment. Sergio, did you not make it to school to pick up your supplies yet? Because I had these notebooks and some writing things out for everyone to pick one up. There should be more supply pickup dates too. If you don't, okay, should have been in your materials that you picked up from school. Okay, thumbs up if you're ready to go. Thumbs down if you need another minute. Okay. I don't know about the rest of you guys that have your cameras off. We're about 30 more seconds here. And then those of you guys who are ready to go, you can start taking a look at this image here, because we're going to try to come up with 3 observations. Concrete, which means factual, observations about that picture. Okay, I'm taking a look at this picture. What observations can we make about this picture that are factual? You can unmute yourself and add an observation if you like, or you can type it into the chat. What do you see here?
The squirrel.
Okay, so what about it do you see? So give me some detail about it.
The squirrel's on the tree.
All right. So we'll add that as one of our observations. Oh, squirrel has 2 R's. Sorry. And an E. Okay, see if you can come. One is albino and one is regular. But we know that there's a lot of things that come with albinoism, right? So we can break that down into some more observations even.
Got red eyes.
Yeah. So we can say one squirrel is albino. The albino squirrel has red eyes. Okay, and so you might have different observations. That's okay. All right, we don't know what season it is. We can't tell from this, so that's not one of the observations we can make, really. All right, and so you might have 3 different observations on yours, and that is fine. Okay, so we're just going to kind of divide this into 3 sections because we actually have 3 pictures to work with for this assignment. Okay, over here for questions, I want to choose one of these that I can use as an inspiration to create a scientific question. Okay, so I could pick this one in the middle, I think, because I have a question that comes to mind. One squirrel is albino. I could say, how often are albino squirrels born? Or I could say, how common are albino squirrels? So there's a lot of different questions that I could say. Okay, so there's lots of different ways to word a question. These are kind of asking the same thing. But I want to use these questions to develop a testable hypothesis. Okay, and a testable hypothesis starts with if, and then includes a prediction. That's the then part. And then I need to give a reason for my prediction. I need to prove that it's logical. And I use that with the word because. Okay? So I could say, if a squirrel has let's see, 5 babies, then there is a very small likelihood that one will be albino because most squirrels are gray. Okay, and so this is not necessarily an excellent hypothesis, but it has a restatement of the question, right? We're asking how often squirrels are born or how common are albino squirrels. So we've used that as inspiration for this part. Then there's a very small likelihood. Well, what is a small likelihood? That we're talking about chances or statistics, okay? So that's some sort of mathematical relationship. And because we know from experience that most squirrels are gray and not white. Okay, so that's my reasoning. So is this testable? It is, but this is actually not a really great hypothesis. Okay? Because we've given a condition here of squirrels having 5 babies. We don't know if that's exactly true, but we could add in here. The squirrel has 5 babies in each litter, because most squirrels have several litters of babies. And it has to do with genetics. But the thing we're really looking for at this point is that we have a if, a then, and because. And over here, there are no opinion words in your prediction. All right, we're actually over by another 3 minutes. So where you guys go to finish this, you already have the slide deck, so you can finish the last couple on your own. But then you can go to your modules. This is the assignment. Okay, and so you guys, it tells you to finish up page 3. And once you're done with that, so this is assuming that you already took your notes. All right, if you haven't taken your notes yet, then that's something that you still need to do. That was section 1.3. And after you're done with your notes, you should also write the summary for those notes. Okay? I'm not going to collect all of these pages from your notebook this week, but I am going to collect them next week. Okay? So all of this stuff in your notebook from pages 1, 2, 3, and 4 should be done before Monday morning, because you're going to submit them to me on Monday. Okay? All right, if anybody wants to stay on with me even though we're done to go over the next picture, feel free to stay. Otherwise, if you want to leave and go do your 6th period stuff or work on the stuff on your own, you're welcome to do that too. Oh, okay, here was an example that I did with a different period. We did, do all squirrels have red eyes? And if all white squirrels have red eyes, then there will be no white squirrels with brown eyes. Okay, so here's another picture. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of lantern festivals, but that's what this is in China. Actually, this one's in Thailand, I think. And so they light these little candles and it raises these bags up. So see if you can make 3 observations about that picture.
When you say turning in the notebooks, does that mean we're going into the school and giving you the notebooks to check it and then we get it back?
You are not. So when I say turning in your notebooks, because we're doing all this stuff digitally, you're going to take a picture of each page, paste it to a document, and send me that document.
Okay.
Okay? And so normally if we were in school, like a normal school year, you would turn your notebook into me. Okay, so those of you guys who are still here, you guys want to share your observations? And there's only a few of us. If you guys want to unmute, that's fine. Or you can type them in. Yes. All right, so there are a lot of lanterns. Yes, there are a lot of these. And so we can go to what does each lantern have? And there are a lot of people also, yes. So these festivals are crowded. Yep. So each lantern has a fire. Okay, and we could also say something about the shapes of the lantern. We could say there are a lot of people of all ages. Each lantern is rising into the sky, right? So these are not, some of these are kind of up there and still kind of being held onto, but these are floating up into the sky. So there's a lot of questions that we could come up based on this. Like if I was taking this one and turning it into a question, each lantern has a fire, I could say, what is burning? All right, if I chose this one, I could do an even more interesting question. I could say, how are the lanterns floating? Or I could even use why. How or why are the lanterns floating into the sky? All right, so I can choose any of these observations and turn them into a question. I could even ask something about the people there. Right? But you have to be careful because when you start talking about people, a lot of times we start asking questions that are not of a scientific nature. We start asking questions that have to do with opinion and philosophy and social things that are not science. Okay, so I kind of like this one because there's a lot of places we could go with that. And so if we turn that into a hypothesis, so we need an if, a then, a because to make it a hypothesis. Okay, I could say if the lanterns are floating into the sky, and then we have to come up with some sort of prediction. And my prediction might be something having to do with the fire, because all of the lanterns that are rising into the sky have that fire, right? I don't see any that are in the sky that don't have a burning part. I don't really want to say it's a candle. Okay, then I think they will continue to rise until, actually here I should say if the lit lanterns continue to rise until the fire goes out, because all the lanterns in the sky have fire. Okay, I don't see any in the sky without fire, so that tells me that fire must be a necessary component. And in fact, have you guys ever seen a hot air balloon? Yeah, so hot air balloons work the same way. If you heat up the air in the balloon, the air expands, becomes less dense, and it rises. So these lanterns work the same way a hot air balloon works. Okay, so I'll let you guys do the last one on your own. And this happened a few years ago. This is also Thailand. And these are fish in the street. That is a real picture. It rained fish. Thailand is by the ocean, so there are weird ocean events, weird weather events that can pick up fish from the ocean and dump them on shore. All right, so make some factual observations about that, and then try to come up with a question and a hypothesis.
I never got the notes, so where should I take those? Like, where can I get those?
They are on Canvas.
All right.
So if you go to modules, you should always try to work through these things in order.
It also says that I have to complete one item. It says that I can't click on the thing.
Oh, let me go to, I think I'm in a different period right now. Let me check on that one and make sure that there's not a setting problem. We're still early on, so we're still working out all the programming glitches. So if we go to modules, complete one item. Ah, that is I have to edit that.
All right, that's good.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, and then there will be a 2-question quiz for you guys to do down here too. I'll publish that in a sec. Alrighty? Okay, we'll see you guys on Monday.